Hello everybody, good afternoon or good morning or good evening whenever you're watching this. So today I'm going to be making a coronation chicken, which is a lovely summer dish, which is a really easy thing to do using cooked chicken. And then we're going to do a summer trifle, which again, very simple to do, get the children helping with that. And they're both very, the coronation chicken is delicious if you want to go on a picnic. You can put it in little pots and take it off in a plastic box and you've got a delicious chicken dish. It's also nice in a jacket potato or indeed in a sandwich. Lots of people like coronation chicken in a sandwich. So it's very versatile. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to show you really quickly what we're going to do and how we're going to make it. So first of all, I have taken one small onion and I've chopped it up, and I've cooked it off in a pan with a tiny bit of oil, and then I have added to it a tablespoon of curry powder and also one of these curry pots. So it's actually going to be quite strong, but I think it will be really nice. And in the recipe packs that people are receiving from the food bank, they will have got a mixture of curry paste and curry powder in their little pots, which does exactly the same thing. But I just wanted to show you, if you want to make it from scratch at home, I probably would put a large tablespoon of curry powder into my onions and oil and let it cook out. You've got to let the curry flavours cook out, otherwise it will taste a bit gritty. And then just leave it to simmer, add a little bit of water, and you get this sort of consistency. I've put about 3 or 4 tablespoons of water in there. I want it a little bit wet. Smells nice. I haven't added any more salt or pepper, and I think you'll see why afterwards. So that's just going to the side there. And then I've got a cooked chicken breast here. I had a big roast chicken on Friday night, and that's a breast here, because I'm not making a massive portion for you now. Again, in your packs you will have pre-cooked roast chicken in your packs, and I'm just going to take it. I'm keeping the skin on because it's quite nice skin, it's being flavoured, and I'm just chopping it, dicing it up quite small. Let's probably do a couple of people this amount when you see what else has got to go into it. So it's quite economic as well, because if you've got one chicken breast and it could do for 2 people, that seems to go quite a long way. If you want to cook the chicken from scratch, I think that chicken thighs are probably the nicest flavour, and they go quite a long way, they're quite reasonable as well. So that cut chicken is going in there like that. And then I've got a red pepper here. So I'm going to take about 1/4 of it, cut it down like that, and I'm going to cut thinnish strips. Hope you can see this. Thinnish strips like this, and then I'm going to cut it down again into smaller strips. And the reason I'm doing red pepper is because it will give it a little bit of crunch, a bit of salady crunch, and it gives it colour. So that's again going to go into that like that. Just give that a quick whiz around. And in this bowl I've got some mayonnaise, probably a bit too much mayonnaise, so we might take a little bit of that out to start with. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do it the other way around, and I'm going to put 2 large tablespoons of mayonnaise in this bowl, and then I'm going to gradually add the onion mix to this and just stir it around. Get the children to help with this. Might need a bigger bowl than I'm using. Just mix it around. Might put a little bit more of the onion in, like that. Stir that around. And then we're going to use mango chutney or any nice sweet chutney. It could be a sweet onion chutney, or as I say, a mango chutney or a peach chutney. This one is a fruit chutney, and I'm just going to put a fairly large dollop of it in there. I'm going to mix that around again. Now before we put that into the chicken, I am just going to taste it and see whether it needs any seasoning or anything. Could do a little bit of salt. So I'm going to add a little bit of salt to it, which will bring out some of the flavour. People always say don't use too much salt, but actually salt brings out the flavour of things. So just a little tiny bit of salt. Give it a good stir. And let's try it again. Much better. Delicious. Now, so let's get rid of that. I'm going to put all that in. And we're going to stir that around. And that's the base of your Coronation chicken. If you like things a little bit sweeter, you could use a combination of mayonnaise and salad cream, or you could add some cream into your mayonnaise or some creme fraiche into it. Gives it a slightly creamier texture, slightly different texture. So that's that done, nice and easy. So now for the presentation. So if you're having it as a salady thing, probably serve it with rice. And if I was serving it with rice, I would chop a bit more red pepper and add the red pepper into the rice, so when you put it on the plate it looks like jewels. For me, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So I've got some leaves, some nice lettuce leaf. I'm going to stick that all on there like that. I'm going to sort of make it look, again, because this is a coronation, I'm trying to make a crown of my vegetables, like that. And into the centre of the crown, I'm going to put my chicken, like this. And then we're going to finish it off. So we're going to finish it off in two ways. So you know I mentioned the peppers, so I'm going to take a bit more pepper and I'm going to cut some very thin, be careful if you've got children around, because cutting very thin slices is quite difficult. That's when you need the adults to do it, and you need a fairly sharp knife. There we are, 2 more slices, and I've got all 10 fingers. So now I'm just going to nicely place these little bits of pepper all around the edge, and as you can see, it just brightens the whole thing up a bit, like that. So if you've got people popping in or whatever, you've suddenly got a reasonably cheap but delicious meal that everybody can tuck into. You could have that like that and just have some crusty bread. But I haven't finished yet. So I've also cut a nectarine up, and because I like the fruitiness of things like this. So I'm going to go around the inside now with the pre-sliced nectarine. Again, like this. Could do it with apple. That one's a bit thick, so I'm going to cut that one off a bit. You could do a sliced apple. You could chop some coriander or parsley. So there we have coronation chicken, fit for a queen. I think you'll agree that looks pretty delicious, and took 10 minutes, less than, to do that. And I think that would serve a good 2 people with a nice bit of crusty bread, or in a jacket potato, or you could put some rice or pasta with it. So there we have our coronation chicken dish for today. So our second recipe today is a trifle, which I think is a lovely summer dish. And again, it's very easy to do, and you can definitely get the children helping with a trifle. So what we've got is a Swiss roll and some instant custard powder, and which we need a jug and hot water for. We've got some jam, and we've got some fruit cocktail in juice. And we've got some chocolate as well, so we're going to have some cream. So we're going to have a little play around later with some chocolate ideas. So the first thing we need to do is open the Swiss roll up. You can use any cake. So if you've got a bit of cake lying around that's getting a little bit old, you could use that. You could make a cake and leave it and use that. If you have a cake disaster, you could always use that in a trifle. So I've got a nice glass bowl here, and it always looks nice in a glass bowl. So just put that to the side, and we're going to cut fairly small pieces, and I'm going to start by starting at the bottom, and I'm going to gradually build it around the outside of the dish, and you'll see why afterwards. So I'm trying to make it as thin as possible without cutting my fingers, but so it looks quite pretty. Slightly overlapping them now, because I want to get all the fruit, the Swiss roll in there. Whoops, see? That's it. In we go. So some people don't like Swiss roll because they don't like the jam. So you can have a plain cake, a Madeira cake, or just buy a plain cake in the supermarket. You can get what they call trifle fingers, trifle sponges in the supermarket. They're a bit bland. They could be a bit, so let's just put that in. So you can see how I have lined my bowl like that. Just going to have to rinse my hands a little bit. And then we are going to take the fruit cocktail, lift that out, and so I'm just going to very carefully drain off the liquid. Into this jug, like that. And then I'm going to pour it over the cake so that it makes the cake soft. Gently pour it over and make sure all the cake gets covered. And if there's a bit too much, you just keep going. So that's all the cake done. And then just very gently, I'm just going to squidge it in with a spoon so that it all... So there's a bit of extra liquid that's gone down to the bottom, but I'm just trying to soak it up so the ones at the top get the juice in them, just like that. And then I'm going to take my jam. I know it's already got jam in it, but I'm going to splodge a little bit of jam in there. So I'm just going to splodge a little bit more jam and spread it out a bit. Shouldn't really be putting my spoon back in there, but it's only for the family, so it doesn't matter. So we're splodging that out a bit so that I'm not sure what the word splodge is all about, but anyway. There we are, so you can now see the softened cake with the jam on it. And then we're going to add the contents of the fruit cocktail straight in, like that. Excellent. And then just smooth it over so that everybody gets, there is some jam for everybody. Just put that to the side. I'm going to take the jug, and I've got some instant custard here, which just needs hot water added to it. So the recipe says you want 3/4 of a pint of water, but we're going to make it thicker because I don't want it too thin. So I'm only going to put half a pint of water in to start with, and we'll see how we go. So that just goes in there like that. And I've already pre-boiled my kettle. I've just got to find where the pints are. Oh, there we are. And we're going to go for half a pint to start with. Oops. Just half a pint, and I'm just with a whisk. I think a fork might be easier than a whisk, to make sure we get all the just going to double check what it says here. Add boiling water up to 3/4 of a pint and whisk briskly with a fork until smooth and creamy. And it's beginning to thicken as I stir it. You have to use boiling water. I had used boiling water. I'm hoping that my kettle was boiling enough, because that's not thickening as much as I would have liked it to have done. Just going to put this aside to cool off a bit. I'm just going to let that cool off a bit before I put it onto the cake mixture. So we've got rid of the custard. So then we have some cream. You've all got cream in your packs. I've pre-whipped this because I didn't want to make a big noise. So if you haven't got one of these electric mixers, which does it in no time flat, you can use a hand whisk. Takes a bit longer, but it will do it. Again, you can give the children a chance. If you really haven't got a hand whisk or a whisk, you could use it with a fork, but you take a long time to do your cream. Or if you don't like cream, just serve it like that and just maybe have a bit of ice cream with it. So we're just waiting for the custard now. Before custard goes on first, then the cream. But while we're waiting for that, the custard to cool down, there's the cream, as I say, whipped already. I'm just going to put that in there, out of the way. I'm going to show you a little bit of fun. I'm going to try and show you a little bit of fun. So, with the custard, it wasn't thickening, and it does say you make sure you use boiling water. So I just popped it in the microwave for a minute, and it's thickened to really, really thick now. So obviously it wasn't the kettle wasn't hot enough. So you really need to have it. So I'm now, it's gone so thick, I now need to thin it down a bit. Just goes to show you have to read the instructions. You can use any custard, or you could use the powdered custard. You can see this is pretty thick, so you may need as much as the 3/4 of water, but just make it to the consistency that you like. Just make sure you've boiled your kettle properly and pour boiling water onto it. My kettle was boiled, but it had been sat for about 5 minutes before I poured it in. So it really needs to be even that's a bit thick. Better. That's how I like it. Yeah, that's much better. So I think you can see now that that's pourable, but it's not runny. So that is now going to sit on here. Pour it on. Doesn't matter that it's a bit hot. Get out as much as you can, either with the fork or I've got a spatula here that I'm going to use, my trusty spatula. So I'm just going to dig down and get it out. I need to get all the custard out. Gets into all the crevices here. Okay, that's pretty much it. And then with the spoon or the fork, doesn't matter, you can do it with the fork, just spread it over so that all the cake and the fruit is all covered. So it's not a massive layer of custard, but it's sufficient to cover the cake. Just like that. There we are. Some people might like more custard, some people just like, I'm not a major custard fan, so my husband will want twice as much custard, but I like a small amount. So there we are. I'm not going to try and get any more out of that. So that's that, just sitting there getting cool, and the cream is ready to go on it, but I'm just going to leave it a few minutes while that cools off. And now we're going to make some little chocolate shards. In your packs you've all got a flake, and all you need to do with the flake is just to flake it over the top once the cream is on. Or you could put cherries on it, or you could put some toasted almonds, or you can try and do this. So we can do this, which is just literally making little chocolatey bits. This is very good quality dark chocolate. It's a bit too, it doesn't taste very nice if you just eat it, but a little bit of shards and things is fine. So that's one way of doing it. I was hoping that I might be able to make no, it's not going to do it, it's too hard. I was hoping I'd maybe make some curls with it. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that with this. So we'll just carry on doing some. What I will do though is to show you I'm going to just take a little bit of chocolate and I'm going to melt it in the microwave. So while we're waiting for that, that's now cool enough to put that down there. Take the cream, again spatula, pop the cream on there. There's not masses of cream, but just a little cream to make it enough to cover the whole of the cake, the trifle. This is melting a little bit because the custard is still a little bit warm, so it probably should have waited a little bit, but only for the purposes of the video I needed to get it finished so you can see the finished outcome. So we'll leave that like that for 1 second. Turn off the microwave. See if we can do this in a second. And so there's my custard. Just ignore the bit, and then I'm just going to throw my chocolate flakes on the top like that. Might do a few more. Just like that. And there you have a summer trifle. Lovely summer trifle. So just while I'm showing you, I've melted a little bit of chocolate, tiny bit of chocolate, which I'm just going to put onto here. And then I'm going to spread it out really, really thin, as thin as I can, on the paper. And that just needs to, I'm sort of painting it on the paper like this. And that needs to dry off for a few minutes. Doesn't take very long. There we are. So just drying it off. And then I will get a knife. Needs a minute or two to set. So we can just spread a little bit more on. Just paint it on. And you might think, what on earth is she doing here? I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but with my little knife, I'm able to make some lovely chocolate curls. Amazing chocolate curls, which will look really quite beautiful on top of there. So you saw how quickly that was to do. 1 minute in the microwave. So that's quite a thick curl, but it would look, you can put it like that. You can use any chocolate, but the better the quality of chocolate, the thinner you can get it, and you can get all these interesting curls and things. You need to keep your knife as flat as possible. And I've done it on paper. You could do it on marble, if you had marble. But it's just a little bit more interesting and more fun to do than just the potato peeler. There we are, so there's your curly whatever, and you can see that was one little piece of chocolate that did all that, and there's still some chocolate left in my pot, so it's a little bit of fun for you to try or not try at home, but just to learn, look and learn, as they say. So this afternoon we've made the Coronation chicken salad and the fruit trifle. So I hope you enjoy those and enjoy cooking, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching.